Hey, what's up guys? So today we're going to be talking about the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 12 that came out this week. I'm going to be spoiling the stories, so just as a heads up, if you haven't read it and you want to read it before you want to listen to me spoil it, then probably do so. But without further ado, let's begin. So the story starts off immediately in the aftermath of the Hobgoblin's attack from the previous issue. And there's only two survivors, Roderick Kingsley and Norman Osborn. So at this point, the story is basically telling us that it's definitely Ned. He's the Hobgoblin. Because of course, Roderick Kingsley is, basically beat up and he manages to get away. Norman Osborn, he gets taken into the ambulance and sent off to the hospital. What a luxury. And then while in the hospital, Peter shows up and visits him. The first thing that Peter tells Norman to his face is the fact that he's a liar and that he told him, the wrong date. And Norman basically just mentions that he thought he could deal with it, whatever would have come his way, he would have just dealt with it. And of course, that's exactly what happened. That's why he's in the hospital. He dealt with it. He knew that was going to be a thing, but he didn't realize it was going to be the Hobgoblin that was going to show up and beat his ass, not just Roderick Kingsley. Norman mentions how the Hobgoblin basically just got bored from beating him up, that he just left. And I'm like, what? And then Peter brings up to Norman how Ned Leeds had approached him a few nights ago to tell him about how he wants help getting into the Osborn servers. And Norman is so confident. He's like, Peter, you have to trust me. And Peter replies with, if what he's looking into ends up being, just completely wrong, then of course he's gonna start trusting Norman Osborn. But then it makes me think, like, why is he even considering whatever Ned Leeds is asking for? Why is he even considering that Norman could possibly be behind something? Like, the story just let us know that it could have been just Ned Leeds behind the Hobgoblin costume. Because it's either one of the two guys, Roderick Kingsley or Ned Leeds. And it just told us at the very beginning that there's no way it could have been Roderick Kingsley. But anyways, yeah, he plays along. He's like, alright, I'm gonna see if Ned Leeds is wrong and I'll begin trusting you, Norman Osborn. But like I said, it just feels weird that he's even considering whatever the hell Ned told him. It might just be my way of interpreting this. I don't know. So next we skip over to Betty Brant's apartment. Peter shows up and he starts asking her about Ned Leeds and what he's up to, what he's doing. And of course she brings up over the fact that he's been really motivated to follow this Norman Osborn story. But occasionally, she doesn't want to bring this up, but inevitably, of course, she's talking to Peter, an old friend. So she brings up how he comes home in the Hobgoblin costume. And she starts talking about how Ned Leeds is convinced that Norman Osborn is after their baby, specifically because there's like supposedly some goblin serum or some goblin blood inside of this baby through Ned Leeds. And Norman Osborn wants that baby because of that blood. And Ned Leeds is basically convinced that this is why they're being spied on. And with that, Ned is also paranoid that Norman is just spying on them. So that's why he's like really hooked on this story, just finding out what kind of shenanigans they're scheming up. And so Spider-Man rushes off in his glider over to this office space that Betty told him about, where he works. And then he finds him. There's an open window, so he just jumps right through. And then Ned is relieved to see Spider-Man. He starts telling him about the conspiracy that he's cooked up, about how they're all after his baby. And this, of course, piques Spider-Man's interest, so he tries to learn more. And Ned tells him how he couldn't have seen this conspiracy built up if it wasn't for the machine that he has in this particular room. Spider-Man asks him, oh, what machine? And it gets revealed that it's this device called the Winkler device. And it makes him think he's the Hobgoblin. So it's basically a brainwashing machine. I haven't personally read about this, but it looks like it was in a story called The Hobgoblin Lives. And I haven't read it, so I wouldn't be able to tell you anything about it. That just makes him think he's the Hobgoblin. And then the wall just explodes to reveal that there's a Hobgoblin that just rams into Spider-Man's back. Like, it just completely bends him backward. It's like, how is this dude even still alive? And this knocks out Ned Leeds. They show how he's on the ground. But the Hobgoblin pushes Spider-Man through the entire building just to toss him off. And Spider-Man's glider shows up to save his life. And this new Hobgoblin sees this and he's like, dude, is that a glider? Is this a freaking joke? And Spider-Man just replies, clearly not. This part is super goofy. It's like, man, there's so many goblins, so many gliders going on. This entire story is just goblins and gliders. This is hilarious. And then we cut to a page where they tell us that Norman, in his hospital bed, ends up getting a laptop to start working on his work. Even though he was looking forward to the recovery process without having to do work, his assistant just brings him a laptop because she assumed he'd want to work. So he inevitably just takes the laptop and starts working on his shenanigans. And this is where they give us a little hint, and this is where I start thinking like, oh, this is basically them setting up the dark web events, because they show us like him working on the spider glider, or they show us working on like that golden suit that gets advertised on like for future comic releases, the golden goblin glider or some crap like that. I forgot what the official term is, but I'm sure at some point I'll get to it. But they show him working on the spider suit version 3, and you know, that's just the gold glider looking thing, when he gets a notification that his spider goblin suit is being active. So he clicks to see the live feed of what's happening with Spider-Man. And then we cut to the actual fight itself, where Spider-Man just removes the mask after beating the shit out of the Hobgoblin, only to reveal that it's Roderick Kingsley. Dun 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 dun! What the hell? But I thought he wasn't the Hobgoblin, right? There's no way. It's Ned Leeds. But it couldn't have been Ned Leeds because Ned Leeds was chilling out while the Hobgoblin attacked him. What the hell? What is happening? Of course, they reveal as the cliffhanger itself that there's 2 Hobgoblins. This ending made me fucking laugh, bro. This is incredibly goofy. Like, 2 Hobgoblins? They totally got me with this story. Nah, I just thought this particular issue felt very goofy. Like how the big reveal is literally just the fact that, oh, there isn't a third person that could have possibly been the new Hobgoblin. It's just that there's 2 dudes, 2 Hobgoblins, and it's both Roderick Kingsley and Ned Leeds. Well, that's what I'm assuming. They haven't specifically said it's, you know, Ned Leeds, but that's where the story has built up to seem like it's headed. And that's incredibly goofy. Like, what the hell? This is getting out of hand. Now there are 2 of them. You know, it's that level of goofy. I would say it's kind of still enjoyable. Like, it's not go out of your way to pick up this issue worth, but it's still kind of enjoyable, you know, since I buy them anyways. So fuck, I have nothing else to do but enjoy it. But if you had a decision whether to pick it up or not, like, if it's not a must read, that's what I'm trying to say, but it's not horrible again, so there's that. But anyways, if you enjoyed listening to me talk about this week's Spider-Man, make sure to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.